I have to break the fourth wall
Yeah.
right now and say I'm feeling like very vulnerable.
Yeah.
While we're talking now, I'm still sort of constructing what happened.
Yes.
I don't know, because it was very hard. And I guess that's what people, I mean, it was hard. It sounds hard and it was hard.
Yeah. Michael, hi.
Hi,
Can you start by introducing yourself?
my name is Michael Stamm. I am a painter. We're actually in my studio right now.
We're always in your studio. I am.
Hopefully not forever. Yeah, I'm your ex-boyfriend,
Yeah.
most importantly, most relevantly.
Yeah. How, I wonder what that's like for you to come on with that context.
It's fine. It's not hard.
Okay. All right.
Our relationship has brought so many amazing things into my life that it feels like anything relating to it feels like a victory parade rather than a tragic reminiscence.
Because, not that I don't think we're going to talk very much about our breakup today, but
We could.
we could.
That's more your episode than my episode.
Well, that's interesting. That, I mean, for anyone listening, what Michael is implying is that our breakup was more heartbreaking for me than it was for him, and we've never like totally interrogated that construct, but I know that you really believe it.
That it was more heartbreaking for you than it was for me.
And that it was maybe like that I like held the heartbreak of our relationship, which I think is true concretely. Like I think in my conscious,
You also were dumped.
well, I think,
Like I broke up with you, so I'm not saying it was not heartbreaking. Yes, I would say you held the heartbreak, and I think that was a problem within the relationship, was that you were tasked with holding feelings for both of us.
Yeah.
But that you also were. It makes sense that you might have been heartbroken, and I was less heartbroken. That was a difficult experience for me, but not because of heartbreak per se. But I think because perhaps I was not able at that point to sufficiently value you as a equal in our relationship. So the fact that I didn't feel heartbroken was the problem. But that's, the evolution I've gone through since then allows me to, I think, see the other person more as an equal. So if I were to have, break up with my current boyfriend, which I do not plan to, I love him, I would be more heartbroken because I think I think I'm more healthily enmeshed in the relationship or whatever, So whether or not I was heartbroken is to me not a question of, it's like, that's only one way to track like my how I related to what happened and whether it was healthy or damaging. Like it was hard. Anyway. But I think when it comes to heartbreak, a different situation, as we talked about, comes to mind.
yeah. But I do think that our breakup is relevant there. Like, that, I mean, because I think you're about to talk about an experience where you had a more of like acute sense of being heartbroken.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how, like, to think about maybe how our relationship fits into like your trajectory of like romantic life. Like that there was like that you could maybe be in a relationship where you weren't heartbroken or didn't experience yourself as heartbroken, but then I don't know, that you could occupy what it might mean that you would could occupy those two positions within your own romantic life.
Yeah. Can we take a 1 second break?
Yeah.
I'm really stressed out about
Capsule.
and I don't know how to manage that.
Well, let's just incorporate it, and then the continuity.
Yeah. I'm also just going to turn the ringer up then.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just, I might leave this in, and we'll just acknowledge that there is a prescription delivery coming, and so we may need to take.
Yeah. All right. This whole thing in?
Maybe. Do you want that?
Oh, I don't care.
Stricken?
No, don't strike it. Capsule, you've taken over my life. All right, wait. Where? No. I just want to be able to focus entirely on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You asked me a question about whether. So can you repeat the last question?
The question is about like that when you I know what you're about to talk about, and so but that you like you had this relationship with me where you were maybe yeah, I don't know, defended against the like vulnerability of it or something.
Yeah.
And then the next one is the one you're going to talk about. So like,
Yeah.
I do wonder how you understand, having been in what, you know, not without its problems, but like was like a loving and meaningful partnership for both of us. But you were like,
Well, I think that's also what buffered me against the heartbreak is that even though it was over, the love and the meaningfulness continued pretty quickly. Like we only had maybe 3 or 4 months before we resumed our friendship. And of course, like when I started to date other people, there was a little bit of tension, but it wasn't that great.
no, it wasn't that bad.
So, and the reason I was heartbroken from, should we invent a fake name?
Sure, out of respect. That sounds nice.
Yeah, what should the name be?
It should just be, or like it should be my.
It can't be another name. Matt.
Okay, Matt.
Oh my God, everyone's named Matt.
Matt Grubb.
Matt Grubb. No, Matt Grubb is an amazing friend of the pod, but not the person I dated. Matt. Yeah. So the reason it was hard with Matt was because I think that, well, there's just so much background. It's almost too much. It's almost like too much to say in a short amount of time. This was 2016. I had worked really hard to get my career going. I had gotten into like a prestigious artist residency, which I'd gotten really sick during because I had not yet been diagnosed with a nervous system disorder that I was diagnosed with in 2017. So my health was really bad. I had to leave that I had to leave. So I had like 3 relatively prestigious residencies.
I don't mean to be like, I don't know, something about it, but like, do you want to say what that condition was? I just like, people don't talk about this
stuff. I have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, which is like, technically it's like your legs, like your autonomic nervous system doesn't like pump blood efficiently through your legs. And it sounds like not a huge big deal, but it's like,
it was a very hard part of our relationship.
Yeah, I was sick. I would be sick all the time, and I couldn't like exercise. I would get like fevers all the time. I just like, it was very strange. I wouldn't be able to go anywhere where there's too much heat. Like, and anytime I drank, I would get really sick. Like, if anyone who's listening knows that it's like, what I like to tell people is that it's like you're hungover all the time. And it's like really mysterious, like when it comes and goes. And there's something called post-exertional fatigue, or I don't actually know, it's like where if you do like too much, if you exert yourself too much, you get sick afterwards, but not like directly afterwards enough to sort of be able to understand what activities make you sick. So like it was just very hard. It's just and it just made my life really hellish. And you know, it's an invisible condition, so it of course doesn't get a lot of respect. And I think that there's a particular stigma for men who have like, I mean, you know, people talk about it in a lot of ways regarding gender, you know, about like women not being believed, but I also think it's just as hard for men to have like a neurasthenic condition.
Yeah. There's maybe like the inverse, like if a woman is talking about these sort of symptoms, like you could they get like will be called like hysterical or like crazy, but like a man would be called like a pussy or like
or like a whiny,
yeah.
And of course that dovetails with me being Jewish and gay, so it was complicated.
And
What?
Nothing. I was just gonna make fun of you.
You can make fun of me.
I was gonna be like, and whiny. I'm just kidding, but
too soon.
Sorry.
No, I'll get you back to worry.
But yeah, but the like way people get disbelieved is gendered, is my
Yeah,
point.
and it's just, I mean, that's just so, broadly speaking, something that's been frustrating for me about it. But we don't need to go into that. Anyway, I'd left these residencies and I was sick. And this is definitely recording, right? You know it is.
It's yeah.
I suppose I'm worried that I didn't press, that I like screwed up the mic.
No, you can. There's a lot to worry about that.
I
when
know,
you're
there's
doing
so
this.
many
But
things.
you can see right here on the transmitter.
Oh, I'm talking. Okay, great. I know I just don't want the world to forget me when I pass away. Anyway, no. So I'd left.
The POTS hero.
So I'd left as a POTS hero, a POTS victim.
POTS warrior.
Anyway, so yeah, I had left. I just was not well, and I had no idea what was wrong with me, and I'd just been like, at that point I was telling people I had chronic fatigue, which is, if anyone knows, the most fucking embarrassing thing to have to do in the world. It's like, I don't even know. It's like so infantilizing, and it's also like everyone who does have chronic fatigue knows that it's a terrible name because it's actually has nothing to do with being tired. It's like has to do with you're being sick all the time.
Yeah.
And like for me, it would manifest with like insane canker sores all over my tongue where I couldn't eat or talk, or fevers of like 102 that would happen. I mean, like on vacations together, so many times where we'd be like, get to the destination, I'd be sick for 2 days.
Yeah.
And if I wanted attention, I was doing it in a very weird way, which was lying in bed, like, with earplugs in while everyone went skiing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of perverted attention seeking that was. Anyway, the point is that I was in I had left like this residency I'd worked really hard to try to get into, and it was.
You just did not block the camera.
Okay. And so I was, I wasn't really mentally prepared to talk about, I thought we were just doing the letters, so I just need to wrap my head around what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
I met someone, I was on Tinder a lot, and I had dated this very cute guy, and that hadn't really worked. He probably may end up coming on the podcast sometime, so I don't want to say his name.
Okay. I'd love that.
Well, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he's great. Like, there's nothing. And then that hadn't really worked out. And then I was just matched with this guy on Tinder who, like, kind of didn't strike me as very, like, he was kind of, I had like my first string candidates and my second string, and he was like second string. Not that, am I going too deep into this?
No. I think, yeah.
And so we went on a date. I don't remember anything other than we went on a date. I met him at a bar by his house. He lived in Harlem. He's an actor. Or like in Upper West Side or something. And we had ramen, and the date was fine. I remember he was very anxious during the date. He was anxious, and then I was like, well, you want to do anything after the date? And he's like, oh, well, I don't know if, he was like, I don't know if, like, I want to, like, he was being very uncertain. I was like, we can just, like, go over to your house, and if you want, we can, like, talk, we can kiss. Like, I was like, I'm not trying to get anything out of you. Yeah. Which, of course, that's a half lie, because, like, I obviously want to fuck, but I would have been comfortable not doing it. The point is that, like, no, I mean, I was just, like, I was telling him that his boundaries were completely acceptable.
Yes.
And they would have been, and it just seemed like he was stressed out about the possibility. I don't know. I was being appropriate. I wasn't being creepy. And we went back to his house. And of course, as the case is with many people, like, if they feel like they just need to be like, this makes me sound like predatory. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people just need to know that it's okay for them to set a boundary. Like,
yeah, it's like, when
you need to respect
when Carrie tells Aiden she's going to go like be in that other room, and then she doesn't need to be in the room anymore, whatever.
So we hooked up, and it was the sex was very good. And I think in terms of how it relates to us, I'll break I think you and I never really had like a strong sexual bond.
Not a lot of heat in that relationship.
Yeah, which I think that's complicated.
Yeah.
I think both of us I think we weren't meant for each other.
Yeah. And
we also were working through issues unrelated to one another.
Yeah.
It was a multifaceted problem.
Totally. And that, like, it's hard to know why something isn't working and like how to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think that was actually a source of that was a problem for us, is that I think you were very anxious about when it came to discussing that.
Totally.
But you know, we survived it. Anyway, so the sex was really good, so good, and he was like really tall, and he had just been in a play where he had to be like very fit. Excuse me. So he's like was very, very muscly, and I had never had sex with someone who had like that amazing of a body, and he also was very handsome, and he kind of like looked. In my mind at that point I was like, oh, he's like a Hemsworth brother. I was like, I'm fucking a Hemsworth brother.
Yeah.
And I remember that.
Who were a very big deal at the time. This is to place you in history. The Hemsworths.
2016.
The Hemsworths were.
This is during Hunger. Yes, this is like during Hunger Games. Yeah. Oh my god, this is so long ago. I was like, I'm fucking Hemsworth brother. Who's even the equivalent now?
I don't know, Jacob Elordi.
Well, I was thinking Jacob Elordi, but he's too skinny. Which is,
well,
I guess,
but it's just like a different beauty standard.
Yeah, Jacob Elordi. It was like, if I were fucking Jacob Elordi. Anyway, so of course I became extremely obsessed with him immediately. And then I found out afterwards that he had been on this TV show that I was able to watch. You know, and I don't think it's crazy. I think there's like a lot of discourse about like stalking someone online, and I just don't think if you're like looking at shit on them online, that's not stalking. You know, stalking is like when you are not like when they are afraid, or you're like you're not showing boundaries. Like if I'm like, he's on this TV show and I watch the TV show because I'm very curious and obsessed, that's like being obsessed, but it's not like, you know, and it could be like
Well, a TV show is public.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, people are always like, well, it's like not healthy to obsess about someone, but it's like people, I think, often, I just don't really see what the big deal is about like researching someone, you know, other than if it's feeding an unhealthy obsession, or just like, I don't know, I'm just very curious. I love researching. I was researching him. Anyway, I'm going way too in depth, but the point is that he was quite emotionally unavailable, and he was like, wouldn't text me back, and I was also like, not feeling very well. I was also at the time quite depressed. I was getting transmagnetic cranial stimulation. So like I had to wake up early in the morning and go to this like place where they put this fucking helmet on you that like Woody Woodpeckered your head. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever had it done. It's like, it's sad, and it's also like stupid and kind of degrading.
What is this for?
It's just for depression.
Yeah.
It's like ECT, it's like baby ECT. Anyway, so I just was like, my obsession with him, I think, was also just like a manifestation of the place that I was in at the time. And he even now doesn't know that I was there. In like, you know, if he heard this, I don't think he would know that I was like in that, I was depressed. Of course, I'm sure he wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, so yeah, I was really obsessed with him. He would like not text back, and was very, you know, in a way that he was like playing, I don't know if he's playing hard to get, he was like unavailable, he was playing it cool, whatever.
He was hard to get.
He was hard to get.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I know everyone, I'm sure, listening, and anyone knows what it's like to like have someone who's like really sexy, and maybe because they're arguably more handsome or something, or more desirable and self-acknowledged as such, they have the power, you know, and they act on it in ways that, so I think maybe he like, you know, he kept me at arm's length, and which it was fine, not in a way that it was a way that like made me feel crazy, but like wasn't,
yeah,
and I think was like a normal dating.
Why do you think, as we like some people, when I am like, tell me about the heartbreak, they start at the breakup.
Yeah.
But you're like,
the beginning
sorry,
is I'm going so long.
There's no wrong way to do this. I just wonder what it means.
Well, the thing is that like I like really had to chase him. Yeah. And be really patient and wait for like months and do the thing where I would text him and I would wait for like 3 days for him to text me back.
Yeah.
And like be completely think that he wasn't going to text me back, and then like kind of grieve the loss, and then at the very last second, like have him text me. I even set my ringer to a different text for him because I couldn't, when I would get a text, I couldn't handle if it wasn't from him. So I set it to like a different text sound. But then like anytime the sound, like the nanosecond that when my brain heard a sound, and was it the clink or the clonk, you know, and then like that, it just nothing was working. Anyway, finally,
But-
by virtue of I think my own charms and worth, I did snare him.
Yeah. That's actually maybe a good moment to take a break, and then we can get into like
Okay,
like that
commercial
like
break.
Yeah, commercial break. That's the setup, and we'll get into the
Smoothie break.
we'll take a smoothie break and come back with the rest of the story. Welcome back, Michael.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Welcome back to me. Welcome back to my special guest, Dean MacArthur.
Oh, it's your show now.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm doing this, I feel like I'm making that Kristen Wiig movie, Welcome to Me.
Yeah.
Where she like creates a game show that's just
Yeah.
about like events of her life. There's like a scoreboard between her and her
yeah.
mom. Sometimes I feel like I am doing like this whole project is Welcome to Me of like.
Except she has money and you don't.
Yeah, it's true. I did not win the lottery. And this so far, there are ads on this, but they aren't they don't really pull in so much. But yeah.
Anyway, so back to me. Welcome back to me.
Welcome to me.
So yeah, the point of the reason there's so much to say about like why this preliminary dating part is that I always like he felt like an achievement to me. I would argue that he's like better looking than I am. He's taller. He's like more.
He's a very handsome person.
very handsome.
Like
He's
it's like real like.
he like looks like a 90s movie star.
Yeah, and like a 40s movie star.
Yeah.
And
He has
he's
like a
like
big
really
square
classic
chin, and
classic
he's just very handsome, and also like is a funny and charismatic person, and like many actors is very charming and enthralling, and I want to be very clear that if this person's listening to this, I'm not going to try to say anything bad about them. I have nothing bad to say about them. Yeah. And then I'm sure I'll be forgetting many amazing things about them during the point of the discussion. So like this is just my story. It's not meant to be a testament about him at all. The relationship was going well. I was struggling with my health, but we did eventually during the time dating him, I did get diagnosed with the POTS, and I started taking medication, and it really helped. But that was a struggle because I think he was responsible. And my mental health struggles at the time were related to being sick and not knowing why, and being, feeling like everyone thought I was crazy or faking it. It really, and I'm, I have real trauma from that. It's like, I think people can joke around with me about most things, but I don't like when it comes to like whether or not I'm sick or not, or like that. To me, I have a very I don't want to joke around about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were going out, and the relationship was good. He was an amazing boyfriend in a lot of ways. He was super generous. He was very man. He would drive everywhere. He did all the labor. He was like a carpenter, and he was also very charming. And
what did it feel like to be there? I think there maybe is a conventional wisdom around you shouldn't have to chase someone too hard. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? And then, but this actually did happen. You really kind of pursued and it were on unequal footing, and then did enter a relationship. What did it feel like?
Well, that felt insane. It was I felt the euphoria of. There was a specific moment I remember. I'll never forget this moment. I was walking back from my studio, which was not where it is now, which is here. I was walking back, and I had just been I've been really minding my behavior with him for so long, and just trying not to come on too strong, and also, which I think some people, it's normal. I think it's okay to expect people in dating to mediate themselves and act regulated. So part of it was just me trying to respond correctly to this situation. Part of it was seeing that he was and I'd watched him kind of do it to someone else at the very beginning. So I was like, oh, well, this person just if you just have to let him come to you. And I remember texting him something funny. And then it was right as the iPhone had the writing message with the magic little thing. And I remember I had sent him a joke, something I was trying to be funny. And then he sent me one of those like invisible messages or like the magic writing,
Yeah.
and it wrote "I like you," and it was like, and it just he'd obviously liked me, but he never had confirmed it,
Yeah.
and it kind of just felt like that was that was like. I felt like at that point I was like, oh, I don't have to, like I have him,
Yeah.
like he likes me. I mean, yeah, he likes me.
Yeah.
It's very binaristic. And I remember it being like, it was like I got into Harvard. I was, I was like freaking out. I was so excited. Anyway, so we started dating, and there was a lot of wonderful things about him. And honestly, I could say so many. I mean, he was, firstly, he's very sexy to me. He was, the sex was very good. I hope he feels the same way, but that's he can go on the podcast if he wants to talk about that. I think he enjoyed my company. I think I can be charismatic and fun and,
Yeah.
and
You're a good hang. Amy Poehler.
And, we had conflict at the beginning, one of the main conflicts in the relationship was he's an actor, and this is, and again, I'm talking about all of this from like a place of like love, and so I'm not trying to malign him at all. But I think he was not succeeding as much as he would have liked and deserved to. He's very talented. I think he had gone to a prestigious acting school, and I think was watching his friends get successful, and also had started off with a lot of momentum, and it sort of wasn't going how he had expected, which for a bunch of reasons, many of which I think are valid. Not like I think valid for him to be upset, and also being reason some people are famous and some people aren't makes no sense.
An incredibly frustrating career.
Yeah, and the way
the most famous actors and actresses talk about
it's degrading.
Yeah.
And I watched him be degraded by it. I watched him self-tape and just like I felt, and I don't think one of my biggest regrets in the relationship was that I wasn't like more empathic or sympathetic to how hard it was for him.
Yeah.
And he was in a play at the time, and he was talking about how people in the dressing room were kind of like giving him a hard time, and I will say that what I felt then, I responded to him with something that I perceived, which was that I think he often felt capsule. He often felt, yes. Sorry to interrupt to everyone. The capsule person is coming soon. Great. So then we can move on. He felt, I'm really trying to find the right words to say this.
Well, what were like, do you have, I don't know if it's essential for you to describe what he was doing, but what I think you're about to say is that you maybe like, he was having a problem that you thought maybe was like part of a pattern.
Yeah,
so then you were like, I'm going to explain your problem to you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna I diagnose you, and I believe that I was correct, partially.
Yeah.
And still do, but what I learned then, and I now know in my present relationship, is that like as a boyfriend or a partner, your job is to be a supporter first, period. Like if someone's doing something dysfunctional, that's different, but if someone's doing something that you think is like pathological, I don't know, if they're getting in their own way, it's like your job is to love them first, and you're not your therapist and you're not their teacher. Like you couldn't try to inspire them and work with them, but like I regret being like not a teammate first and being like, fuck that guy who was not being nice to you, instead of being like, well, maybe he had a point.
Yeah.
Are you sure, like this or that? I was questioning him, and there was a specific, when we broke up later, when he broke up with me later, he, I think, was talking about this one specific incident where I had sort of questioned his reality and the pain that he was in at the result of someone else and just like a group of people. And I really regret doing that. And I have learned from that. And now I really, with my current boyfriend, like I always think of my job is to love them first, even though of course we fight a lot. But
I've heard you repeat this over the years,
Right.
and the idea that like that in a relationship it's very tempting because you're like in such close proximity to someone, you like see their patterns, you know them very deeply. It's tempting to be like, well, like particularly if a problem they're having with someone else dovetails to a problem you have with them, you know, it's tempting to be like, well, now I have comfort, like a leverage to change this about you.
Yeah, and I think I grew up in an environment where I was criticized a lot.
Yeah.
So to me, I think I'm able to pay it forward effortlessly. But also, I do think I can take criticism well. And the dialectics of like talking about my problems are, I think, less stressful to me than to other people because I, like grew up being sent to therapy. I'm Jewish, so it's like the drama of like that is less intense. Whereas he's like from a very waspy family, like caricaturically. Like he had like all these he had like these tall brothers, and like I would go to their house and I was like, oh my God, it's like, I felt like one of them was like gonna give me a noogie and like, while we were playing football or something. I know they were actually so nice. That's like, they felt very American to me, and I, and that's part of the fetish, of course. Anyway, so I questioned him in a way that was hurt him, and our relationship also wasn't working in a variety of other ways, and we had a lot of conflict and honestly, I don't really remember a lot of the things that we had conflict about.
Yeah.
But I know that the thing about his career was a big conflict, and I'm not saying that to say it was about him. I'm saying I absolutely was processing. I was doing many things wrong. Like I do not blame him for breaking up with me if he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
In fact, he did break up with me, and I remember it wasn't like completely unilateral. I remember walking home from the studio. I'll be right back.
Capsule break.
Entertain the listener, Dean.
Well, what you don't know about Michael is that.
All right. Sorry.
It's totally fine.
Okay, now we get to the phone on silent. Oops, sorry. So I can, am I still in the camera?
Want me to check?
Yeah. Camera.
You are still in the camera.
Camera. Okay. So now I can focus a little bit better. So he broke up with me. We had problems, and the relationship wasn't completely defined by like him having power over me at a certain point as a person who I believe does have power of his own, sometimes too much. Mm-hmm. We had conflict where I was in power, and it's hard for me. I think he felt overwhelmed by me, the intensity of my affect. I think he wanted a boyfriend who would be more chill and like placid and less critical, and I wasn't giving him that, And I will say, no, and I wasn't. There were things with his career that I should have been more supportive of. I should have just to me, I was like, I don't even understand why I didn't in that moment just like show love. It's crazy to me,
Well, do you think it had something to do with your own creative pursuits? Like you have been, particularly at that time, like really demanded a lot from yourself.
Yes.
In terms of career.
Yeah. And also very, very comfortable. To me, I get angry at rejection and failure, but I always, and I do blame other people sometimes, particularly when I do think it's not my fault. Mm-hmm. But I am comfortable with the idea that I can always do better. Mm-hmm. Like even if like I just guess I can handle the idea that like your behavior is criticized, and that people can survive that. Yeah. And that you don't have to agree with it, but just that people's some people just don't want to be criticized.
I mean it's taken me a long time to develop the muscle of like you know, of that when someone is saying something about me that I don't like that like, okay, I can just try this on for a sec.
Yeah.
Like that you,
I've always been good at that.
Yeah,
I think.
you are.
And I grew up in an environment where I was, subject to a lot of criticism and blamed for a lot of shit. So I got used to it. And I did think it helped me. I think that I do have durability that other people don't, although I certainly lack it in other ways. So he broke up with me. And I was about to keep on saying like about unilateralism or whatever, that it was also there. I remember walking home from my studio on the phone with my parents, just being like, I have to break up with him. Like, I'm not happy. Like there were problems. It wasn't me just like following him around like, pathetically, like, and I don't remember, you were there at the time and I don't remember what you saw.
About your heartbreak?
No, just about like the situation.
Well, I was pretty like hands off about like, because this was your boyfriend after us, and I had felt it's interesting to think about this, because like what you're saying about I have that about our relationship is that like I had my own ambivalence, but then when we broke up, like because you're the one that pulled the trigger, I was then able to be like really victimize myself in the heartbreak. Yeah. And so I was actually pretty like, so I think I acted like a victim about, and then didn't inquire that much. Yeah. It's hard for me to remember when like were you like, you're like grieving.
Well,
process. I remember talking about it a lot.
Well, firstly, you're using his name.
Oh, sorry.
We'll just bleep
I'll
it out. Being on podcasts and asking someone to bleep something out is like the most fun thing you can do in the world. I wish I could do it in real life. I was in Wasaic. I remember it was 2018. We had broken up, and then like I had a show. We'd stayed, as the case is with me, is I tend to stay close with my exes for a bunch of reasons. I think, I love hanging out with them. I think I'm unwilling to relinquish what I like about them, and I also think I have like, I think they like me and they feel safe around me, and I have tended to stay. I've stayed friends with almost all of my exes, and with Matt, I was friends with him for a while, and he was working out of my basement. I lent him my basement to do woodworking, which I was very happy to do. And I had a show after, like my first show in New York in 2018 happened after we broke up. And so I guess the heartbreak when we broke up was hard, but we moved to friendship rather quickly. Yeah. So I'm sort of bearing the lead, which is that like the heartbreak of the relationship was after the friendship ended and not when the relationship ended. Yeah. Like, we moved to friendship. And our friendship was very intense. It was like, we were having sex for a while, but that stopped eventually. And I was maybe I was struggling with that because I wanted to continue. I think that our relationship had weird boundaries, I think that we contributed to, I don't think anything like patently crazy was going on, but I think that definitely we were not like extricating ourselves from the situation as well as we could have. And for you and I like just more efficiently like became friends because I think we were always meant to be friends.
I think we were. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, and the friendship always just worked.
Yeah, the friend.
But I also think that we were together. I think about this as that we were together long enough. Yeah. That by the time that it was ending, it was like knives down, chefs. Like it's fucking over. So like I didn't really have. It was hard for me to metabolize like. I don't know. There was something about like wanting to be like very important to you. Yeah. And so like as long as I could still have that, then it was fine. Yeah.
I have to break the fourth wall right now and say I'm feeling like very vulnerable. Yeah. like, I am worried that I'm like boring the listener with all these beginning details because I like actually thought we were just going to do the second episode, which is fine. I'm not like, but I'm like, while we're talking now, I'm still sort of constructing what happened.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily feel like I'm presenting I don't want to like leave anything out. Because like the thing that I'm talking with you about was like really one of the lowest points of how I conducted myself.
Yeah.
You know, and so the reason I'm going into such granular detail, and I think I haven't even really gotten to the meat of the story, is that like, I don't know, because it was very hard. And I guess that's what people, I mean, it was hard. It sounds hard and it was hard.
Yeah. Can we, let's take a break here.
Okay.
And then come back and talk
commercial?
about that. Yeah, commercial. For capsule, maybe.
Free capsule.
Okay, see you, we'll be back in a sec. Welcome back. Michael, you're talking about the vulnerability of telling this story.
Yeah, but I want to be entertaining and fun and smart. And I also like, you know, it is not crazy to think that this person might listen to this.
No, it's
you
not.
know, and I want to do a good job both to impress them and like to like present myself like well, you know.
Yeah.
And in no way do I want to do well to like say fuck you to them. Like truly, there's not even a single iota of me that has any sort of like vindictiveness.
I've never heard you express any. But what I will say is that if anyone who's listening to this, like, yes, there might be some like sort of like people in our social world that might want to, but like someone who's like actually interested in this podcast, the point is telling the granular stories about breakups. Like that's who's comes to listen to this. So this is, you're not on Watch What Happens Live. And although I could be, so just
keep going.
Keep going. It's
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting into territory that is really complicated. Not just like what happened, but how to talk about it publicly.
Yeah.
We had an incident that I wish I could talk about, but I just can't. That was a problem, and
Charlie Baudet set a precedent here for saying like I don't want to go there with
I
the
can't.
thing.
I can't go there.
And I think that's like I hope that becomes part of the fabric of this is that like I'm not here to like exploit you. And,
no,
like,
I don't feel exploited at all. What I'm just sad is that it's really relevant, and the reason I can't go there, I also can't go there. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like it's more complicated. It's like nothing. And I think that in general, it's really helpful when people. I made a mistake. I took responsibility for that mistake. The other person also made a mistake. My mistake was greater. And I believe I took responsibility for that mistake. And really reckoned with it seriously. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say. Like I did not, and I do not believe that the mistake that I made was unforgivable.
But how does, if you enter into a heartbreak feeling like, man, there's part of this that I really fucked up.
Yeah.
How does that like, what's it like to hold that and the loss at the same time?
Well,
Sounds hard.
I just actually need to get to let me get to actually what happened, the heartbreak.
Okay.
And sorry again, I'm just being like, sort of meandering. So I was really depressed at the time. You know, I've struggled with depression for a while. I think like, which is so embarrassing to say. It's like, it just feels so like millennial. It also, I feel like I'm in a good place right now, and I feel so disassociated from that that it feels actually like, I don't know. I just don't. It feels embarrassing to say that out loud, even though everyone says that, including Amanda Seyfried, and she's amazing. So I went to a place I went to like a residential mental health hospital in 2019. That's open setting, which means you can come and go, but it is a hospital. So the best equivalent is the episode of Sex and the City where Carrie goes to visit David Duchovny. That's actually the closest thing I can think of. Yeah. So it's like, it's unique in its scope, and that it's like for people. It's mostly for honestly like people who are not addicts and not psychotic or suicidal, but
Like don't need to be in the hospital.
don't need to be in the hospital, but have like personality disorders,
Yeah.
or are very depressed or anxious. Which actually doesn't describe a huge amount of people. You know, it's a very. I mean, it describes a ton of people, in that a lot of people are extremely fucked up and annoying, but don't need to like be locked up. You know. Anyway, but I was going there. I think to.
Sorry, I have my own capsule happening.
Really?
I think it's actually my niece's Christmas present. But someone just let them in. Let's see.
Okay. Fuck my drag. Right is the most vulnerable part of the story. Your stupid niece.
For Jane. I got her an amazing gift.
Anyway, so yeah, I went there. My family is just like a complete disaster. If you do a season about, you think that, like, I can tell you a story about family and not trust that I will not be using pseudonyms then.
I'm gonna get you all on here.
Yeah. So yeah, my family just like problem had come to a head, and I just went there, and you know, and I'm really glad I went there. I don't really want to say what it's called, but anyone who's like in any way familiar with the network of things will know what I'm talking about. And I'm really proud of the work I did there, and it's really helped me. And I was friends with this person at this point, and we had been very close. And the big problem we had dealt with, I thought, like 6 months before. And so I knew I was leaving, and then I like said goodbye to all my friends. I knew I was going to be there for at least 3 months, probably longer. And he. Like I had dinner with him and my 2 other friends, and we all said goodbye, and then I left and went there. And then all my friends were texting me and were like, this is sort of where the story begins. So thank you for bearing with me until now. This is that my friends were like, how are you doing? You know, and you and my other friend were calling me and talking to me, and you know, I was mostly okay. It was like I had a lot to say because where I was really crazy, and I was doing okay. Like it's just a very strange experience, and Matt hadn't texted me or called or asked how I was doing for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this is someone I'd spoken to every day. Like we were basically my best friend, like one of my few best friends.
Yeah.
And he just didn't say anything to me. And I was like really scandalized. And I kept on waiting. I kept on being like, okay, after 2 weeks, I'm going to say something. And at 2 weeks, I texted him and I was like, I don't understand why you haven't asked me. I mean, it sounds, as I'm saying it, it sounds so self-righteous and like to be like, why haven't you asked me how I'm doing? But it wasn't even not even that like I needed him to ask me how I was doing, is that I wanted to talk to him, and I felt abandoned by him. And ghosted by him. And maybe like the thing that I've been trying to prevent from the very beginning actually finally happened, which is like it was too much and then I got ghosted, you know, and that was horrible. And he called me on the phone and was talking to me about it. And the thing, I remember the fight was like, he was like, I don't remember what he said, but basically the content was like, you're struggling, so I'm talking to you. And I was angry because I think it's easy sometimes for people to, because of just certain dimensions of my affect, for certain people to be like, pose me as the struggling person and exempt themselves from having problems. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that with you. Like, you shouldn't be talking to me because I'm struggling. Like, I shouldn't have to be the sick one to be treated with equality and respect and care. You know, like I'm not gonna, like what you did was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like it wasn't wrong and like morally wrong. It was just like being a bad friend.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? The point that I'm making, like.
Yeah, I think you're saying that you were in a friendship, and it was reasonable. And it was reasonable to expect someone to check in on you.
Yeah, like truly, if he had just been like, "I'm thinking of you," like
Yeah.
it was as I'm saying it, I was like, it's really crazy. Like his motivation was very like, I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Like I would have been happy with just a look, like even if he had been like, "This is really overwhelming for me. Like I care about you.
Yeah.
Like I need to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Like and had just been transparency, I would have been able to manage that. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that I have like, this whole narrative makes me sound crazier than I am.
I don't think it's that crazy to, and I'm like, listen, I'm willing to tell you when you're being crazy. I don't think it's that crazy to be like, I've institutionalized myself. Can you check in? Like, it
wasn't even really that. It was being like, it wasn't even, I just wanted, he also like, he was my friend.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that, like, he was like, I don't really understand. He also had a boyfriend. He had gotten a boyfriend at the time earlier. He had who he now is still with, who I had met a few times, and I, had good interactions with. I don't know. Like, I honestly couldn't say anything. Maybe the other boyfriend. Sometimes I wonder if the other boyfriend was threatened by like our relationship, and may not have wanted to just like extricate himself, and not in a way that is like that maybe makes sense,
We can't get to what was happening on the other side.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, there are factors that are concrete. Like, he did have a new boyfriend, and I'm in no way blaming the new boyfriend, but that was one of my hypotheses.
Well, I think it's often all of it, right?
It's all of it and none of it. And then I hung up on him, which is something he always hated when I did, and then I shouldn't have done that, and then he never spoke to me again. And I texted him a few times, and I did send him I sent him an email that was like very accusatory. It wasn't like, I'm going to kill you. It wasn't like, it was a very intense email, but it wasn't like a crazy email, like it was a painful email. It was just like, you treated me badly. You've been a bad friend to me. And he had been. Like, I stand by that. I think he had been a bad friend to me. I'd done a lot for him. He was working in my basement. I'd helped him. I'd lent him some money. I'd also just tried to be a good friend to him. Like, I'm a good friend to many of my friends. Like, this isn't...
You wanted...
Yeah. I was trying to be... And I felt like he had been really selfish, And I had actually wasn't asking him to, like, spend an hour on the phone with me a day talking to me. He just, like, could have, like, sent me a funny meme, Literally, like, it was not that... It was the abandonment. I felt extremely abandoned, and that was the heartbreak. And the abandonment, and that's truly the feeling of dumpedness, that's when it happened, is when he didn't talk to me after that. And so I sent him an email that was not nice, for sure, but it wasn't like insane. And I stand by that. I did something mean in the email that I should admit, which is I regret this a lot. It was mean. And it's stupid too, because what I said, the insult was not even a good insult because it was a false. It's like I told him, I was accusing him of doing something, and I called him a bad actor, but like, like the way that you describe someone who's like acting in bad faith.
Yeah.
But I used it being like, I knew that it would be like a hurtful thing to say.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, when I'm fighting with people, I really never try to go below the belt. Like, I'll say how I feel, but I don't like try to hurt people like that. And so I regret that. And he's not even a bad actor. Like, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
But I knew that it would hurt him.
Yeah.
And I really regret that. And
you were just like poking at an anxiety.
Yeah, but on purpose.
Yeah.
And in a way that, and doing it in bad faith.
Yeah.
Like in a way that, my brother, for example, who I do not need to bleep, will say something and with like enough like conniving deniability that like you have to be the crazy one to. I've been like, oh no, I'm just a figure of,
Yeah, you like gestured towards something.
Yeah,
and that
like knowing. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, it's a bit of sadism.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna like make the insult without actually having the guts to just say it.
Yeah. And that I know that I don't know if he recognized that or but that was something I regret. And so he didn't speak to me. I emailed him. Then we didn't talk for a while. And then, I can cut to I just or how much time, what are we at?
We should be rounding it out.
There's so much more to say though, that's the problem. This is why I didn't know,
Well, there's only, we're not going to be able to perfectly tell this.
Well, I just wasn't really prepared for this.
Yeah.
I would have, I thought we were just going to do letters.
Yeah, no, sorry.
It's okay. I'm not mad. I just uh, we should be rounding it out. There's so much more to say. I mean, I had like,
What? Okay, so like the sort of like.
I mean, I can tell you that I like had dreams about him every night for so long, like where he like took me back and it was like beautiful and like I felt so redeemed. And I think that because I went to this place, which I left after 6 months, like I somehow equated, and this is a realization I've only had recently, and I will come to that ending point. Is that I think that because like his sort of abandoning / taking a space from me happened at the time I went there, that if we didn't resume our friendship, that meant I wasn't healed. You know what I mean? And I only realized this recently. And that's a construct. Like I can come back and be healed and he can never talk to me again and I can be doing better, which I am. And I was doing well before that. Like I just needed a little bit of a tune-up. And many other people do who do not go there. Anyway, so I got back, I like had, I've resumed my life. COVID happened. I had a boyfriend, and then we broke up, but we're still friends. And then I, started dating my current boyfriend 2 years ago, and that's going very well. I love you. I know you're listening to this. So when we talk about next season, when we have that sounds easy. Like bonus episode about boyfriends, I'll go on and talk about you. Anyway, so the point is that he hadn't talked to me, but I still and I had given myself closure and like somewhat closure. Obviously, I like dreamed about him a lot, and then that ended. That sort of faded away as my life took on a different. I just was able to move on. And it felt like an unfinished narrative, but it just finished itself more and more by virtue of being ending. But now I'll get to the final act, even though feels like there's so much that's being left out. What?
But I do want you to just can you say something about the experience of heartbreak?
The longing that I felt. The longing that I felt for him after he abandoned me felt like oh
Sorry,
my god, the doorbell.
Capsule.
Oh my god.
Oh. Merry Christmas, Jane.
The longing that I felt felt like the closest thing that people will go to and be like, I saw Mark Rothko and I cried in front of it, at this painter, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I guess for them, the aesthetic experience is so overwhelming and so just world making that it has that sort of, creates that. For me, the feeling of longingness that I felt for him was the closest, the most intense aesthetic experience I've ever had of I can remember the sensation of longing, of just beautiful, intense, emptiness that was a song, and I can just, it's it felt like the seasons and it felt it just felt like a backdrop, so the longing, in a way that it was painful, but it was also so exquisite and emotionally centering, and unconfusing, it was a bad feeling, but it was a very it wasn't confusing. It was the longing was very pure in the way that you would be thirsty or hungry. Anyway, so that's what it felt like. It felt bad, but also crazy. And I remember the dreams that I would have where he would talk to me again were incredible, and I'd wake up and I'd be gosh darn it.
What? But why? How do you understand this? Why? What have been your fantasies about romantic partnership? And why was the loss?
Well, I think that I had never. I think it was the first. I mean, I think that I've had people in my life. I have sort of a narrative with my older brother of abandonment, and and that's just a whole different story. So I think that he replicated that, and I think he knew that. Maybe. I think but I also again, I don't think anything he did during all this was it was shitty for him to abandon me, but it wasn't it was all survivable and forgivable. in many ways, I was also courting. What I want to say is I was also courting the treatment. Like, the way I acted didn't. I earned the way I acted, and in such a way that like, it's my job in the future to prevent myself from being treated that way. You know, not like that. I'm not angry at him, but because like I don't think I deserved the way I was treated, but I don't think I also think that I acted in a bad way, that it's my responsibility to learn from how I acted and to prevent it moving forward. Anyway, the last thing I'll say to move forward, the story forward, is that I wanted to see this play called that's out. I think maybe it's still out now.
I think it is.
Oh yeah, well, you should bleep it. You should actually bleep the name out because that
identifies
that
him.
identifies him.
Yeah, okay.
And out of the blue, I DM'd him and I was like, hey, no, I wanted to see it. And then I looked at the cast and I saw that he was in it. And I was like, I want to see it, but I don't want to be a stalker. You know, I'd already made plans with a friend to see it, bought the tickets, and I found out he was in it. I was like, I'm going to go see it. I'm allowed to go see a fucking play. Because I was like, am I a stalker? And I was like, no, I'm just actually want to see it. It wasn't like I was going to like Topeka to go to the Topeka Playhouse. It was like at a major New York theater. Anyway, so I DM'd him and I was like, hey, I'm coming to see your play. I hope you're well. If you want to like say hi afterwards, like I'd love to say hi. And he did respond and he said, yeah, let's say hi. And so I was kind of like losing my mind. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to see him again after, you know, at this point, 6 years of not seeing him.
Yeah.
And I went and I saw him. And I will say that there's some other things. I was really, really excited because I really wanted him to succeed. You know, like despite all this like sadness and ambivalence about how I was treated, like I only want success for him. And I always did. Like, even though during the relationship, I may have done things that sabotaged us, I would never ever choose to like have him fail to satisfy me. I like only want the best for him. Oops, I hit the microphone. So I saw him. So after the play, he and I was like, I texted him and I was like, I told him the logistics about how I was like gonna come and be after the play, and he didn't respond. And I was like, okay, well, that sort of tracks. I was like, I don't know if he'd forgotten about it. Anyway, so I texted him, I'll be there after the play. And then he came out and I saw him and I became very emotional, and he was very friendly, distant. And then he was like, I need to say like hello to the other people in the play, or the other people who would come. And I was like, that's fine. He said that, and I just sat there and I was like a little bit teary, but like, it was just very intense. And then and this was recent. This was in the last month. So I was like, we were talking, and I was like, he's going home, and we live roughly in the same area. And I was like, do you want to take a car home? And we'll just talk on the car. And he's like, no, I'll take the train. And I was like, I was like, I would have loved to have talked to him for like 45 minutes, but I didn't want to I wanted to respect his boundaries. I thought it was a little bit weak sauce. I was like, come on, girl, just take the car with me. I'm not going to I was,
But you're not saying part of what I know happened, which is you had a conversation.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, okay.
But I started it by being like, do you want to take a car? And he's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, let's just walk to the train. And we were, we had a conversation, he told me something that happened to him that was tragic, which I won't.
You don't have to get into that.
I'm not going to get into that. I guess he said something to him that happened that I was sad, and I felt, and he was completely deserving of sympathy for her, and I felt I felt very, very bad for him. Of course, it's like that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And was very sorry to hear that. And also in many ways, I think made the interaction maybe easier for me because the thing that we were talking about was so concrete that I could and
bigger than you,
and bigger than me, and my feelings. So and so we talked a little bit about that, and we just had a little chat about our lives. I asked about his boyfriend, while it was happening, I just was wanting, I knew that the conversation that we were only going to get to a certain level of intimacy, and that was fine. And then he was at the train, and I was like, he's like, well, I'll take this train home. And I was like, well, I'm taking that train too. And he's like, well, I'll take this different train. And I was like, or Matt. Like, we can take different cars. It's fine. I'm not like, I think he was afraid of me. He also didn't, like in the 6 years, he didn't know who I've become.
Yeah.
You know, he just was we were both dealing with a really old version of the other person.
Yeah.
You know? So before we got onto the train, I was like, I just want to say, like, I'm sorry for how I treated you. Like, I had weird boundaries. I just told him the things that I did, and I was like, I'm sorry for like how I hurt you, and like how I acted, and I was being crazy, and you don't deserve that. And you know, and there were specifically calibrated things I apologized for, which I feel strongly about. And I also, just to be clear, didn't need an apology from him for anything. Like, I don't have, you know, it would have been nice for him to be like, I'm sorry I didn't like text you, but I genuinely don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I've forgiven, like it's just, that doesn't seem inconsequential to me. Anyway, so he said thank you, and that means a lot. And he's like, no hard feelings, which to me was like a little diminishing, you know?
Why?
It felt like the way he said no hard feelings was like kind of made me feel like he was like, it didn't really matter what I said, you know, like it was a pleasantry. I mean, it was a nice response, but I experienced it as like a little bit like, I'm over it. So that your apology is also not meaningful. You know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to me?
Does it make sense to me? Yes.
Well, like, what was like?
It's just easy. It's just as easy to imagine that it would be hard to navigate.
Yeah. For sure. It was very confusing. And he was fine. And then I was like, "You want to sit on the train with me?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." And then he was like, "Let's just leave it at this." And that was I thought, again, I'm like an intense guy. Like, I'm like, you want to go sit I'll sit on the train. But I also just wanted to like talk to them about movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't want to like get into it.
Yeah.
I would have loved to just like hear about
Happy to see your friend.
Yeah. I just wanted to see my friend and like talk to him about his trip to France or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really didn't even need to talk about the relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he wanted to his own thing, which is fine. And then we both got on different trains. And then the train was like, the train is broken. We have to wait for 40 minutes. And we were sitting, and I got out of the train, and I was like, well, we could talk. And I think he sat in the train, and like, I was like, it just felt bad. Where I was like, you could just like, while we're waiting, we could like chat, you know. But whatever. He's like needed his boundaries, and I respect that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is that I was like, okay, well, I want to respond to this. He was, you know, very decent and was nice to me, and like did nothing wrong, you know, like, or and it was very gracious of him to say hi to me, and like I've gotten good closure from it. Well, and then so I texted him, and I was gonna text him. There were other things that happened. I was like, I'd love to take a walk with you in spring if you want, and he was like, spring? That's a specific detail, and I was like, well, I'm just trying to like show boundaries, and that I'm not like trying to
hang out all the time.
Like, I'd love, like, basically, honestly, I just like wanted to show him my dog, which is so my adorable dog thing. I want to be like, I wanted to be like,
spring is a good time for a dog walk.
Yeah, just like take a walk with my perfect dog. But so I was like, I should just text him, and I texted him, and it's like, I'm sorry for what this thing happened to you. I like, you know, and I was like, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm happy for you, and like, and I'm appreciative that, you know. And then I said, and I was like, listen, if you know, I don't know where you're at. If you don't want to talk again, that's fine. He didn't respond to the text. And that was where we left it. And I was like pretty torn up for like 2 days because like he didn't respond, and it just like completely retread all like the past trauma. But, you know, like, and, you know, I've moved beyond it. Like, I'm really appreciative that he was willing to say hi, you know, like, and I also knew in this situation that like I was strong enough to like, I have an amazing boyfriend right now whom I love, and who I feel safe with, and like, and we have a healthy connection, so it's like there's not this drama, you know. So for a few days I was like torn up, and but then I was like, this is, you know, he needs his, like, we're just, the sadness was that like it's not like that it's like, oh, I wasn't gonna be able to go back to like an idealized, like, I wasn't gonna go back to like I wasn't gonna have the idealized present that returned to an idealized past, you know. That like the loss was like, I was like, oh, this is a loss, you know. And the loss is a little bit more now on my terms because I had a little bit of closure, and it was very gracious of him to give me that, and I'm appreciative. I would have, you know, loved for him to respond to the text by being like, yeah, this is as much as I, like, thank you, it was nice to see you, maybe we'll see each other around. Like, I think that there a little bit more could have happened, but you know, again, like, it's not, I don't get to decide what the boundaries are for people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then that's where I am today.
But it's also,
it was a hard, but I'm grateful. Like I have been thinking about it since then. I was like, this has given me, the question was like, should I in the spring say, do you want to go for a walk with me? And that's the question I'm facing now. And I probably am gonna, I don't know, probably say no. I'm probably not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes no message is a message.
yeah, for sure.
And
but,
like the reason, and I can see in my head, like, it's reasonable what I want. Like, I can see that I'm trying to be normal, that I am normal, you know? Why are you?
But you can have a reasonable request,
Yeah.
and it can also be reasonable for the other person to say, I don't want that.
Well, or not say anything at all.
Well, that's, you know, but yeah, I mean, I like this ending because it's honest. I'm glad you got that.
Yeah, and I'm like, he did a great job. Like, I mean, you know, he didn't do a perfect job on my terms, but like, he did a great job of, I just know him, and I know, like, you know, I don't have anything to say. Like, I'm really grateful. And,
Well, I mean,
I'm grateful for that he was willing to say hi and, you know, give me some closure, I'm sure. And I'm grateful to myself that I had the growth to just be like, okay, I'm stronger than this, and like, and that I do love this person, and that loving the person is like respecting that they have set themselves free, you know what I mean? And be like that. If you like, it's not like if you love them, like, you have to recognize that they are on their own path.
Their
You
separateness.
know? And like, you can't just love them when you can't, if you don't love them at their read but not responded.
Yeah.
You can't let, like, yeah. So I don't know. So I don't really have much more to say other than, yeah, I wish that, I mean, the heartbreak is also the heartbreak of myself. It's like when you can see what you did wrong. Like, I don't see myself as a villain in this, and I definitely have left out in like moments where I think he acted badly, but like nothing he did was like really that notably bad, you know, like other than like normal boyfriend fighting.
Yeah.
The heartbreak is like when you disappointed yourself. I mean, really the heartbreak of all of this is that I fucked up what could have been like an amazing friendship with a person who is not like my other friends.
Capsule.
You know?
Yeah, no.
Oh my God. What? Another capsule?
It's just, it's not all capsule. This is just
oh my God, Christmas people, Christmas takes and
Christmas
takes and
delivery.
takes. Christmas. It's not even Hanukkah. It's Hanukkah.
It is Hanukkah.
And a capitalist Christian vector is stealing my narrative of Jewish suffering.
Okay, well, maybe. Yeah. You were saying the heartbreak
was
is,
that the heartbreak, like, of all of the totalized heartbreak of this is the heartbreak I have of disappointing myself for squandering a friendship.
Yeah.
Like, when I could have just been, like, maybe I could have just been normal.
Yeah.
You know, and now in retrospect, and I also have learned so much from this. And what it makes me sad is that I've learned so much from that and from everything that I want to like show this friend. He's my friend more than, he's not even my ex-boyfriend, he's my friend.
Yeah.
I want to show this friend how much I've grown and how seriously I took what happened and how I've tried to pay it forward positively and not just like pathologically re-enter back into the world and just be like the same person. Like, I've actually really I value what happened between us and think of it much more expansively than just like, oh, this person hurt me, I hurt this person. It's like, I actually see his experience as valuable and teachable, you know?
Yeah, but don't you think that is often part of the pain of grieving a relationship, is that you are growing from it, but you're doing that alone. Yeah. And like, I've had that experience after breakups where I've been like, oh, I wish I know more and I wish I could do it again.
Well, I just, honestly, I wish that I could just like, and the reason I'm feeling so self-conscious about this podcast is that he might listen, you know, I don't fucking know. But I don't even really care about, the only thing I want to show is that like my lucidness about this. And like, I want to be like, oh, I processed it appropriately and I've like been wise and magnanimous towards everyone and like, you know, and I tried to like treat people differently and succeeded, you know?
Well,
And,
that's what I like about the fact that you guys got to see each other and have
Yeah.
that is it's clear, like, I guess what my fantasy about the abandonment is that you might feel like, oh, this person has no sense of my goodness.
Yeah.
And I'm being cast as all bad because,
I don't think he ever cast me as all bad.
but that coming back together, like even if you
Yeah.
aren't friends again or whatever, like that's obviously that's not the story, you know?
Yeah.
And so I guess I hope for you that you have like, can have a more like three-dimensional sense of how it ended.
Yeah, for sure. And when I saw him again, he was like, you know, he returned. He just like when you have a figment of your psychic imagination, like that person can take on such intense like archetypal or symbolic powers.
Yeah.
And in seeing him, like I returned him back to a human being, you know, and like all the things I loved about him were still there, and all, and you know. And all the things that like, made him a human were still there. And I think seeing him as a human at the end, very last moment, I was like, okay, this like allowed me to like have free, to allow me to free myself and me to free him as well, to like be the person that he is and not have to like be a servant of my own like narrative.
An object.
Yeah, like not an object. And and that's the thing. Yeah, and you know that's what's so complicated about like people who are maybe a little bit BPD. And the ideas of like redemption is that they'll be like, I've changed. Why aren't you recognizing that I've changed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that that is a valid desire, and but you still want to like conscript someone into your healing narrative, and it's all very paradoxical. But anyway, I'm doing amazingly. If you're listening, Matt, I'm doing amazing.
Can
For every
confirm.
day every day since I've seen you, I've lost one wrinkle. No, I'm doing good, and I hope if he's listening to this, I wish him truly the best, and whether or not he takes a walk with me and my perfect dog is, I can walk the dog myself.
Yeah.
I don't need.
That's that Miley.
I don't need a man.
That's a Miley Cyrus song, right?
I can buy myself flowers.
I can walk my own dog.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's the tea, as they say.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Cute you.